be the second part of exercise 1, the Route 54 profile. In the first exercise, we showed you how to create the profile with a roughed draft. In this particular one, we're going to use Civil Accudraw to show you how to create one accurately as you go. It's got the same information in it, as you can see right here, all the same information in the dialog box. The only difference is going to be we're going to use Civil Accudraw to create it, and then we're going to set it as active and name it and everything as we did before. Okay, so in this particular part there's not near as much help in this one. You're just given the dialog box and then you're allowed to go out and create this. Okay, so for step 1 here it says we're going to create the profile the second way using Civil Accudraw. We need to delete the previous one, so if you haven't done that you can go out and delete that previous profile that we created. And then with Civil Accudraw selected, we're going to do the profile complex by PI, give it the 1000 vertical curve length, which we already have. We'll start with that. We'll set the feature definition and we'll name it and all that different stuff that we have there. Step D, before we didn't AccuSnap or anything, so we're going to snap to the existing ground to start this one. As you can see, that's different here a little bit in the station portion of it. Then we're going to set Civil Accudraw to the Z and the slope and create this. So in this one, you're given stations and only grades, so no elevations on this one. So you're going to set it to the slope for this one since you have no Z. Okay, and this is what we're going to try and get out of it right here. Alright, so let's dive into it. Since we've already worked in this one before, the first step in there was to delete this old profile out, so you can select it, get the heads up tool on it, and there's a delete option out towards the end. Okay, that was step 1 in this second portion of this exercise. The next step is to go up to the complex geometry tools inside of vertical. So we're under open roads modeling, geometry, vertical, complex geometry, and we're going to do this profile complex by PI. So that's similar to what we did before. The difference being this time we are going to use Civil Accudraw to do that. So I have Civil Accudraw brought out onto the screen. It's also located here underneath the geometry, the civil toggles. You can see that that's located there for Civil Accudraw. Okay, we're going to make sure that the profile window is highlighted. So if I hover over the banner and just select it to make it active, and we're going to come down here and choose on Civil Accudraw to turn it on. Now in this one you have all the different options. So it's turned on. We have, this is the Z if we had elevations, and then this is the slope. Okay, we're going to change it to slope because that's what everything we're going to be doing is based on, is slope here. Our vertical curve parameter in our dialog is set at 100, so we're going to make that 1000 and enter that in. Okay, then we're going to come out here on the screen and it says to go ahead and snap to the beginning of the existing ground profile. So I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my AccuSnap, which is down here at the bottom. This is how you want to snap in the civil tools in ORD. You want to use this AccuSnap. AccuSnap's really easy to use. All you have to do is turn that on, and whatever function that you have, whatever tool that you have highlighted is the one that it's going to try and use. In this case, key point snap. You could also do center, origin, you can do midpoints, nearest. All those work with the AccuSnap. Okay, so we've got the AccuSnap turned on. I've got Civil Accudraw here and I've got it turned on, and I've got the slope option selected. So let's take a look at creating this profile now using, under complex geometry, we've got the profile complex by PI, and then that dialog that it pops up, we've got the ability to change the curve length, and in the manual it says to make that 1000, so we'll do that and enter that in. You can also use the slope here. If you know the slopes, you can fill in all this information here. We definitely want to make sure that we have a parabolic curve or a parabola. Our feature definition, we can go ahead and select that as being underneath alignment, MoDOT baseline proposed. And then we're going to give it a name here of Route 54 proposed and enter that in. Okay. With Civil Accudraw going out here on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's active. Now, since my dialog was over here in this window whenever I was filling this information in, when I move into my profile window, distance and direction are what it says it needs to try and do. So what we need to do is pick that slope option, and then that should change it to station and slope. Okay, we're starting here at the beginning of existing ground, so we will left click at that snap location. The next option is the station, so it takes us to that field. If it doesn't, you can tab into the station, and we're doing 627 plus 03.06 R2. Make sure you put the R2 in there. And you move your mouse around and that should put you at that location. And then our slope is going to be that 1.4%. So we just do 1.4, enter that in, move the mouse around, it locks you there. You can left click to accept it. The next location is going to be that 647. So in station we'll do 647 plus 66.54 space R2. Enter that in, move the mouse around, and you should be able to then key in your negative 3.55% slope and hit enter. Move the mouse around and that should lock you into that spot. Then all you have to do is left click to accept it and then right click to get out of the tool. I'll go ahead and hit F4 and I'm going to turn Civil Accudraw off. If you don't need it, you definitely do not want it on. So I turned it off, and then we come out and select that element there that we just created, and you should see that it should match now what we have in the manual. Okay, so if I double check the manual, I can see that we've got the 602.59.49. So if I go back out to the drawing, 602.59.49, the station that we plugged in remains there with the R2. That's the correct station that we plugged in, and the correct station at the end. Okay, and it also has that 1,000-foot vertical curve. So I know that we're good here. We can again do the same thing we did before. We can hover over it and run a report if we want to and take a look at that information. And you can also go in and set that as active, which is that second tool in there. Okay. Once you've completed that, you can go in and do a file save and then a file update server copy. And that concludes your exercise number 1.